Hi, everyone. You are listening to the Midwest Medium Podcast. I am your host, June Hessler. Thank you for joining me and welcome back. Many of you are listening on Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music. Some are listening on Spotify or my YouTube channel at June Hessler. However, you're listening, please know I appreciate it and I'm so grateful. We are approaching 2,000 streams and we are in 15 countries. So I don't look at the analytics often. I don't get caught up in that. But when I do, it always astounds me how many people are listening. So I thank you so much. Today's episode, I have an event coming up that I want to share with you. And I have a ghost story. And it's a story that happened in my own house recently that I want to share. And I have a little life update that I'll be sharing. So, kind of a little, I guess, hodgepodge of topics today. So, first and foremost, yesterday was the Walk for Peace, Minnesota, which was held in Mounds View. And it was a fundraiser to raise money for those who are suffering in Gaza. Now, this was through Oracle Marine's nonprofit, which is Angels Among Us Foundation. You can check out their website, angelsamongusfoundation.org. They do wonderful work. They have many different causes that they try to bring awareness to involving the treatment of animals, involving humanitarian needs across the world. And I was so happy to be part of a group of people that helped to really put this Walk for Peace together. So it was yesterday. We had gorgeous weather. I couldn't have asked for better weather. And it was a lot of fun. We raised a lot of money. I don't have final count right now, but I do believe it's around $500, possibly more. I'm actually expecting to hear that it's more than that. So some people seem to think that it was a protest. It's so not a protest. I'm not a protester. Angels Among Us Foundation, that's not how they bring awareness to things. They bring awareness to these issues in other ways. And so this was not a protest. If you see me involved in future fundraising events for AAUF, please know they're not protests. They are always peaceful gatherings. And yesterday was a lot of fun. So for those of you that have donated and for those of you that signed up and walked with us, thank you so much. Truly from the bottom of my heart, I'm so grateful to be able to help with this organization and this event. And I look forward to helping them again in the future. So thank you so much. I do have an upcoming event on Wednesday, June 19th. It is via Zoom and it is an evening of spirit communication. It starts at 8 p.m. Central Time and will go for about an hour and a half. And so basically, it's a virtual group reading. It's an opportunity for you to hear messages from your loved ones on the other side, messages of love, wisdom, and also guidance from your spirit guides and your guardian angels. So, what I do is I help bridge the gap between our life here on earth and those in the heavenly realms. And it's really always a fun event for me because I see how the messages touch participants in deep and meaningful ways. And if you're not familiar with how mediumship works or you've never had a reading either privately or in a group setting, I always tell people this is a really great opportunity to kind of really learn and see what mediumship is all about. And also the cool thing about a group reading is you can see how it also touches and positively affects other people. So it's always a lot of fun. The cost is $30. And I do donate 50% of all my group reading profits to charity. For this event on June 19th, I'm donating 50% of my profits to UNICEF in support of their efforts to help children in dire situations around the world. So think of Syria, Sudan, Gaza, Ukraine. however UNICEF decides to distribute those funds, I know that it's guaranteed to go to the children who need it most. So I'm always happy to support them in their efforts. If you want to sign up, you can email info@junehessler.com and we'll get you signed up. So again, June 19th, starting at 8 p.m. Central Time. It's over Zoom and it's $30. Super fun, super easy to sign up, and we'll have a good time. Okay, you guys. So I have a little ghost story. If you follow my social media, you may have already heard this, but I want to also share it with all my podcast listeners. So let's see, this began probably about 6 weeks ago now, honestly. No, actually, probably 2 months because it's already today's June 9th. So it was about 2 months ago. I woke up in the middle of the night. My husband was snoring and talking in his sleep. So I decided to come up to our spare bedroom. If you've seen my green room, which I really would love to paint someday, I just haven't gotten to it. That room is our spare room. It's where I record my podcast. It's where I do a lot of my spiritual work. And we have a spare bedroom or, a spare bed. So I came up because I couldn't sleep. I came up here and my daughter's bedroom is right across the hall and she was sound asleep. It was about 3:30 in the morning. I came up here and I got comfortable, closed my eyes, and immediately, I'm not even kidding, like within 3 seconds, I felt someone sit on edge of my bed. I opened my eyes. I did not see anyone. My daughter was in her bed. She was sleeping. My husband was downstairs. The cat was nowhere around me. And it's just the four of us here. So I opened my eyes. I did not see anyone. And because this has been such a common occurrence basically my entire life, it doesn't freak me out anymore. I'm pretty used to it, which feels like a weird thing to say, but it's true. And so I didn't see anyone, but immediately I felt the presence of a very kind woman. And in my mind, in my third eye, I saw a long dress with a high collar and long sleeves, very similar to a dress that a woman in the 1800s would wear. So I wasn't afraid, nothing like that. So I literally just fell asleep. And so about a week or so later, I decided I would share it with my daughter just because, she's one that spends most of the time up here on the second floor of our home. And she's very aware of the paranormal. She's had many paranormal experiences of her own over the years. She's very aware of what I do with my spiritual work, with my podcast, my mediumship. And so I always try to have a healthy dialogue about the supernatural and the paranormal in my home with my husband and daughter. And so it took me about a week to really try to figure out how I wanted to tell her. And I decided I was only going to tell her what happened, but not what I could feel and what I could see. So I just said, hey, by the way, uh, remember that night I went to sleep upstairs? Well, I felt somebody sit at the end of my bed. And that's all I told her. And she said, to my surprise, oh my gosh, mom, that happens to me all the time. And I was like, what are you talking about? And why is this the first I'm hearing of it? And what she told me was it happens to her all the time, but she tries to ignore it because she wants it to go away, which I totally, totally understand. I was the same way when I was younger. And it felt like the best option was to ignore it because trying to figure it out and trying to figure out something you don't understand is a very daunting task. So often the easiest solution we tell ourselves is, well, if I just ignore it, it'll go away. Well, in the paranormal world, that's not quite how things go. So I was surprised that she had been experiencing this for a while. And she said, she told me that it happens all the time. And I said, well, okay, what do you see? What do you feel? Anything or, nothing? Or is there more you can tell me? I didn't want to put my ideas and my feelings and my thoughts and what I had seen and felt that day into her head. I wanted her to tell me what she experienced. And what she told me was, well, mom, I know it's a woman and she's nice and she wears a dress similar to the dress that Taylor Swift wears in the Fortnite music video. Now, if you've seen this music video, you know that Taylor Swift wears a high collar, long sleeve, long dress in the music video, very similar to what I had seen a week prior. And so immediately I told her that I could validate everything she just told me because I had seen and felt the same thing a week before. So it was kind of like, okay, we know this woman is here. We know what she looks like. We know she's very kind. And at that point, that's all we knew. And I was really glad that I could validate that for my daughter and that my daughter was trusting her psychic channels when she gave me that information. And so, gosh, it was probably about 2 weeks later, I had a practice group reading with my psychic development classmates. We meet once a month and we practice over Zoom. And um, we kind of spice it up a little bit. It's not always mediumship. Sometimes it's questions that we have or, asking for divine guidance or validations and things like that. And so when it was my turn, all I said was I didn't share any information other than I said, there is a spirit on the second floor of my house. Who is it? And why are they here? I didn't say male or female, nothing. I tried to be as ambiguous as possible. And so a few minutes go by, and my classmate said, it's a female spirit. Her name is Carrie. She is in your home because she likes you, meaning she likes me. I remind her of her sister. She is here because she is waiting for her husband to return home from the Civil War, which I found interesting because I felt very much that she was connected to the land and not our house. Our house was built in 1940, definitely not Civil War era. So she's definitely connected to the land. And also my classmate said she's very nice, that she likes my fortitude. And you guys get this. My classmate said she's wearing a dress from the 1800s, high collar, long sleeve, long dress. You guys, I cannot tell you how excited I was that my psychic abilities were validated. My daughter's psychic abilities were validated by my classmates. So it was like a triple validation of the spirit in our home. And so I was very excited. Of course, I shared that with my daughter after we were done practicing because I wanted her to know and learn to trust her psychic abilities. So it was very exciting. However, I'm not okay with spirits in my house. I try to keep a very clean house. Physically, like literally and metaphorically, and spiritually, I want a clean house. And so uh it was time, um, about a week after the practice reading, it was time to try to get Carrie to move on. So I, of course, got my sage out and I was burning sage on the second floor of my house. I was the only one up here. And I just started talking to Carrie and I said, listen, Carrie, the war is over. Your husband's not coming here. Your sister's not coming here. They are on the other side. I asked her to follow the light. That is where she can find her sister and her husband and her children if she had any. And immediately I saw Carrie put her head in her hands and she was sobbing. So, of course, me being as empathetic as I am, I'm feeling awful for this woman, but also I reminded myself I need to be firm. I want her out of my house. I want to help her move on if I possibly can. If she chooses to not go to the light, that is her choice, but she needs to leave my home. So I very much encouraged her to go to the light, explaining why and explaining that this is our home. She cannot stay here. And I also thanked her for being kind and, for not scaring us and that kind of stuff. And she left. And I have followed up with my daughter about once or twice a week ever since. This was about a month ago. And maybe 3 weeks, 3 weeks to a month ago. And my daughter hasn't felt anything. I haven't felt anything on the second floor. So I truly believe that Carrie's gone. So that is my little recent ghost story in my home. Um, Kind of fun, interesting, heartbreaking though too, because I felt so bad for this woman waiting for her husband to come home from the Civil War, and that was just so long ago. Okay, so moving on, I do have a little life update to share with everyone. I initially was on the fence on whether or not I wanted to share this publicly, but I decided because of my hardships and how open I've been about my son Jack, who was stillborn in 2018, and how he really catapulted me to mediumship after he passed, um, that what's coming up in my life is related. And I've struggled a lot with the whole reproductive side of my body. And I decided that I would share it publicly because I think it can help people. And so if you choose to keep listening, um, please know that what I am sharing is meant to inform, potentially educate, and help women advocate for themselves. Now, I'm not a doctor. I don't even play one on TV, but I can only explain my experiences and what I've gone through and my feelings and my physical pain that I have been dealing with. So it's no secret. As I mentioned, in 2018, our son Jack was stillborn and really set me down this path that I'm on now with mediumship and my religious beliefs and my spirituality and my spiritual work. And it's been a long, interesting journey. And so another thing that I really haven't shared is that over the years, I've experienced a lot of pain, very awful cramps, awful periods, um, a lot of pain that I just really learned to tolerate. And I learned that my periods were getting worse and worse. And I kept really, truly putting it on the back burner because it's like, oh, it's once a month. It's not that big of a deal. It just kind of, knocks me down for a few days. But then I got to the point where my cramps were all the time, not just, a certain week of the month. And so I tried initially to advocate for myself with my primary physician. And I mentioned it to her and I said, I think I'm perimenopausal. And this was, you guys, around age 41. I'm 43 now. So about age 41 is when I finally stepped up and mentioned something. And I was completely blown off by my doctor. And so I just kind of dealt with it again, like, doctors know best, right? Well, from my experience, not always. Um, and so I just kept dealing with it until one day I spoke with a really good friend of mine who was actually my college roommate way back when, and she is now pelvic pain specialist at Cleveland Clinic. I'm not going to share her name, but she is a highly sought after surgeon, and this is her specialty. And it was like, hello, why haven't I talked to my friend about this before now? So that's my fault. So I finally started to open up to my friend about this. And, I've known her since what, 2003? Long time. And I was explaining to her what I had been experiencing, all of the pain and the pain that continues even after my period is over, and describing my period to her. I won't go into detail here, but it got worse, it was getting worse. And so my friend really encouraged me to push my doctors. And she explained that if I don't have endometriosis, it's very possible that I have a condition called, I always pronounce it wrong, but it's adenomyosis. And so I felt like I wasn't crazy. I felt like this person who has known me for a long time, someone that I've known for a long time and really trust, is telling me these things and telling me to advocate for myself. And I finally did. So when I turned, yeah, I just had turned 43. So December of 2023, I saw my doctor again and I said, listen, this is what's happening. These are my symptoms. And I talked to my friend who's a surgeon at Cleveland Clinic and specializes in these things. And by the way, I'm not afraid to name drop my friend that works at Cleveland Clinic because it was helping me. So I was not afraid to say, listen, my friend's a surgeon at Cleveland Clinic and he knows what she's talking about. So because I needed help, I needed to advocate for myself. And so my doctor listened and I was able to get an ultrasound, which found one polyp and three or four fibroids. So that really helped to explain all of the pain that I have been experiencing and the fact that my period was getting worse. It helped to explain those things. And so I took that information and I sent the ultrasound report to my friend, and she basically um, gave me options on what to do with that information. One of which is hormone therapy, which is not something I've ever really been open to wanting to try. I'm not a big hormone person. I am of the belief, and this is just for me, I'm not saying this is right for other people. I am of the belief the less pills I need to take, the better. I'm all about supplements. I take supplements every day, my vitamin D, my multivitamin, my gut health, digestive vitamin thing that I take. I'm all about that for myself. I I would very much for myself, I would very much rather deal with things on a more natural level when at all possible when it comes to my health. So I wasn't really wanting to go down the road of starting to take some type of hormone therapy. Other option was to deal with it, which I had dealt with for so long and um, really truly getting burnt out. It's I've learned that this chronic pain is exhausting and I have it all the time. And it because my uterus is tilted in a funny way, which I learned about when I was pregnant with my daughter years and years ago. Um, the pain often goes into my lower back and sometimes it's debilitating. And so the third option that my friend had explained was I could have a hysterectomy, and which, mind you, is major surgery. It is not to be a decision that is taken lightly. So I asked my friend, given my situation and what was found on ultrasound, is a hysterectomy a reasonable option? Because if it was, I wanted to take that option seriously. And I also wanted to make sure that if that's what I decided I wanted, that I wasn't going to just run into doctors who refuse to help me. She said, yes, that's a very reasonable option given what was found on my ultrasound. And so, of course, I'm very sad because I always wanted try to have another baby after Jack, and that just didn't happen for us. And a hysterectomy obviously is so final. If you have a hysterectomy, you can no longer bear your own children. And so it's been a very emotional journey that I've been on these last, gosh, it's been 7 months because I got the information in December. So in January of 2024, I went to specialist, uh, and I met with her for the first time, and she answered all my questions. She agreed that given what was found in my imaging, that a hysterectomy is a reasonable option. So we talked about that, and it was decided that I decided that I wanted to move forward with the hysterectomy. And my surgeon agreed that that is something that she could help me do, which I was so grateful for because I was a little nervous that I'd have to bounce around until I could find a doctor that would do it for me. But she agreed right away, given my set of circumstances. And so, in addition to that, however, I learned that when a woman has a hysterectomy, it often can cause incontinence. And so, I mean, real talk, if you've had babies vaginally, you know that's already a problem. So, I didn't want that to get any worse. So, I met with a urologist surgeon who, I mean, I don't know if that's the correct terminology. He's a urologist and he's a surgeon. So, I call him a urologist surgeon. I talked with him about what the options are to help eliminate incontinence after I have my hysterectomy. So we talked about different options. He confirmed that it is an issue for me. And we decided that the bladder sling was the best option and that he can perform the bladder sling surgery the same day I have my hysterectomy. So basically, it's a two for one stop shop, two surgeries, one day, bada bing, bada boom. Okay, great. So that's what is decided. Now, mind you, from January, when I saw my hysterectomy surgeon, I couldn't actually not meet with the urologist surgeon until April. So I had to wait from January to April to get in with the urologist surgeon. And that's finally when we talked and decided that we could do the bladder sling. Now, I've also learned that trying to line up two different surgeons on the same day is difficult. So the fine people through the network that I'm in um, made things happen. You know, the people that schedule surgeries, God bless them, they're wonderful. And it was finally decided that June 26th is the day when these two surgeons can have a party in my OR. So that's what's happening. That's what we're doing. So I'm excited because I will not miss the pain and my awful, awful periods that I have endured for a very long time. But it is still an emotional journey and decision for me because of how final it is that I will no longer even have the possibility of getting pregnant. And my whole life, I've wanted 3 kids. I've wanted 3 kids since I was probably 15 years old. So, but that's not what God had and planned for me, and I've accepted that a long time ago. But it doesn't take away, I think, the emotions that a woman feels with an upcoming hysterectomy, at least for me in my situation. So, that is what's happening. All the fun will happen June 26th, and my husband and daughter. You guys, I have like a list a mile long of all the things I want to get done before surgery because I will be out of commission for a little bit after surgery. And I know that the healing process can be difficult and it can have a whole set of other issues and pain that go along with it, but it's something I'm willing to face and deal with, um, because I know that the end result will make it all worth it. So, I'm excited, but, I'm still a little sad, and I wish I had pursued this a long time ago. I wish I had advocated for myself years ago. Um, so that's why I wanted to share this, because I know that there are women out there who get brushed aside when they bring up these sort of issues with their doctor. And my primary doctor is female, and she's wonderful. We've known her for a long time, and even my female doctor blew me off a couple years ago. So I just, if this resonates with you, and if you are experiencing the same things that I've described, please continue to advocate for yourself. Um, and I've wrestled, to be honest, I've wrestled a little bit with this hysterectomy decision, because is this what God wants for me? I don't wanna make a choice that will bring me negative karma. Um, and I've talked to him a lot about this, and I continue to feel that this is the way to go. I'm not feeling any correction or pushback or fear or second guessing in my head. I know that this is what's happening. So, this is what's happening. Um, so please, if like I said, if this resonates with you, please advocate for yourself. It's very, very important. Women's reproductive health is very important. Now, when I have my hysterectomy, everything will be sent to pathology. God willing, nothing will be found, regarding cancer or anything like that. And I do suspect that the adenomyosis will be confirmed, because I do have significant symptoms of that. It's certainly possible that endometriosis will be confirmed. I don't know yet, but I do suspect that adenomyosis will absolutely be confirmed. But I won't know until after surgery. And I won't know if I have to spend the night in the hospital until I wake up from surgery. I saw my surgeon last week. We did my pre-op physical. Everything checks out, and we don't even know quite um, how many scars or incisions I'll have, because basically what's happening for me is my uterus is continuing to grow. It's growing, you guys, and I'm not even pregnant. And so we don't know how big the last time I had the imaging in December, we knew how big it was then. We don't know how big it is now. So she's not quite sure yet. Um, she's not going to know until she gets in there. We're in the OR and I'm under anesthesia. She's not going to know exactly how to take this thing out until he's in there, which I've made peace with. It's kind of, I don't want to say it's scary. It's just kind of a weird feeling knowing that information. So I'm hoping I can go home that same day. That's kind of really the plan, but I'm packing a bag just in case I have to stay. And I will have some time off from my regular job. I'm allowing myself time off from my mediumship, and I'm just going to heal and rest and recover and do my thing for a couple weeks. So my plan right now is, once I start to feel better after surgery, I will record another episode and give you all an update. Now, I know this has nothing to do with mediumship. This has nothing to do with positive side of the paranormal and supernatural. Um, but I think it's really important, and I've always been about, when you know better, do better. When you learn, eat. And so I hope that by me sharing my story, it will help at least one other person out there. That is the goal. I'm not asking for attention. I'm not asking for sympathy or pity, or I don't want that. That's not how I operate. I am just hoping that by me sharing this information, it can help other women out there who are experiencing the same thing. So, and if you are, obviously talk to your doctor, see what your best options are, and make a decision based off that. Part of my decision making was a family conversation with my husband and daughter, and basically it was me telling them what I want and how it affects them. Um, that was basically how our family conversation went, and they're 100% supportive and they'll help take care of me, and I really couldn't ask for anything better than that. So, I don't know if I will record an episode before surgery. Today is, like I said, June 9th. Surgery is June 26th. It's possible I won't have another episode before then. I don't know. Right now, I record episodes as I become inspired. Um, so we'll see. If not, I will promise to record an episode after surgery when I feel up to it and give you all an update. So, kind of a lot of different things today. If you're still listening, thank you. I appreciate that. And yeah, you guys, I have the virtual group reading coming up June 19th. So send us an email, info@junehustler.com if you want to sign up, $30. 50% of it goes to UNICEF, which is a great organization. And I'm always happy to support them in any way that I can. All right, you guys. Thank you so much for listening. Until next time.